And hello, one and all, and welcome to my live review for Monday Night Raw. We're going to take a look at everything that took place on the September 12th, 2016 edition of Monday Night Raw, which emanated from Baltimore, Maryland. Just capped off, finished watching what I thought was a tremendous main event between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. So props to both those guys for closing out the show in a strong manner. We'll talk about that. But overall, mixed thoughts on tonight's edition of Raw. There were some good things that I'm certainly going to talk about. There was also some stuff that left a lot to be desired. So we're going to break it all down, match by match, segment by segment. Yeah, like I said, without further ado, let's get into my live Raw review. So we kick things off tonight with Mick Foley. Mick Foley made his way down to the ring and pretty much called out Charlotte. Charlotte would make her way down to the ring, and she would pretty much talk about how Dana Brooke needed to apologize to her after the fact that Dana cost Charlotte her match against Bayley the week before and pretty much made an embarrassment out of herself being tapped out by Sasha Banks on Raw last week as well. So Dana Brooke apologized, and then eventually Sasha Banks would come out, and then Bayley would come out. And I'm thinking, okay, where are we going with this? I'm interested to see where we go. And they both laid their claim, their stake, to wanting to challenge Charlotte at Clash of the Champions in 2 weeks for the Women's Championship. And I'm like, might we see a triple threat between these women? That's actually, well, in a way, we did get a triple threat. On this show tonight, Mick Foley announced that the winner of the triple threat match between Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Dana Brooke, who really showed a bit of defiance towards Charlotte, so possibly teasing maybe a babyface turn when it comes to Dana Brooke and Charlotte. We'll have to see where they go with that. Maybe in the weeks to come, in the months to come, maybe the partnership between them will have an amicable split. But Mick Foley announced on this show that there would be a triple threat between Dana, Bayley, and Sasha. And well, at first he said it was going to be Sasha versus Bayley, and I'm like, hell no. You are not giving away this match. You're not giving away Bayley versus Sasha Banks for free on TV. And smartly, they didn't do that. They added Dana Brooke, excuse me, so that made it a triple threat match. And I have to say, this was a really enjoyable triple threat match between all three women. You knew you have Sasha Banks and Bayley, and they've had match of the years contenders, at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn last year. And Dana Brooke, I thought, held her own in this match as well. So, like I said, good action from the women, good opening action to kick off Raw. I was surprised to see, I was thinking maybe we'd get a triple threat at Clash of the Champions between Sasha, Bayley, and Charlotte. However, what we saw happen here was towards the end of the match, Bayley planted Dana Brooke, with the Bayley to belly, and then Sasha broke up that pin attempt. And then Sasha rolled Bayley up to get the victory. So the boss is now officially the new challenger. Well, she was the challenger, but now she's officially the challenger for Charlotte's championship at Clash of Champions. I really look forward to seeing Sasha versus Charlotte. This will be their third match on the main roster. So enjoy their match at SummerSlam and enjoy the hell out of their match at the Raw in Pittsburgh. And somebody noted this on Twitter, that Hell in a Cell is coming up, of course, next month, and it'll be in Boston, which is Sasha Banks' hometown. Do you think the smart idea would be to hold off on Sasha Banks winning that championship back, possibly in Boston, get the huge hometown pop? And I'm going to throw out this other idea. Let me know in the live chat if you're watching. What do you think of the idea? This is kind of out there, but a women's Hell in a Cell match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Just throwing it out there. Let me know what you guys think. Something different. But maybe Sasha will walk out of Clash. We'll have to see. Maybe they'll keep it going until Hell in a Cell. But that's just an interesting note that I wanted to make. So I like the way that Raw started off tonight. Started off with the women. There was also a backstage segment, which Dana Brooke apologized to Charlotte again, and Charlotte pretty much says, shut up and go get my bags. There was this kind of awful segment between Epicone Primo and R-Truth. Eventually, Enzo and Cass would come in, and I'm like, okay, they set up a match between Enzo and Primo, Enzo and I don't know who was it Epico, Primo. We'll get into that later, but that segment happened, so that was announced for later on in the show. We then had a squash match. It was Bo Dallas versus Brandon Scott. And I'm a huge fan, as you know, of Bo Dallas. Believe 100% that we need more of Bo Dallas. And at least I'm happy for the time being, for even if it's 2 weeks, I'm happy for the time being that they're at least doing something with Bo Dallas. Even if it's just these squash matches, at least I'm hoping that, at least build Bo up to maybe the United States Championship level. I know he's never going to be a world champion, but he could be an asset on the show. He could be funny. He could be the over-the-top cheesy character that he was in NXT. Or if you want to go this serious route with him, do that. It's just like you have a brand split. And it's like utilize these guys, and give them the opportunity. So I'm hopeful and happy to see for the time being that Bo Dallas got the win here. In this quick squash match, he hit the rolling cutter to pick up the victory. Another highlight on this show that I definitely enjoyed was, speaking of highlight, no pun intended, the highlight reel with Chris Jericho with special guest Sami Zayn. And I was hopeful that this would lead to the announcement, maybe the kick-starting. As I mentioned in my Clash of Champions card predictions video, I wanted to see Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho added to this card. I was thinking it would be a good match. It could be a good feud, something for Sami Zayn to do, because they really haven't had much for him to do since his feud with Kevin Owens finished at Battleground. So I was happy with this highlight reel segment. I thought it was good. I thought it was solid. Chris Jericho, he's having the great second run of his career. He's he's on fire. He's killing it. And when he goes out there, I'm fully entertained, because it is the gift of Jericho, and you got to drink it in, man. So Jericho here was great. I really liked the line that Sami Zayn brought up, saying that pretty much Jericho was Kevin Owens' bitch. And then I liked towards the end that Jericho reached into his pocket. He said that, wait a minute, he's going to have a phone call. He's getting a phone call from Kevin Owens, and he blasted Sami Zayn in the head with a shot. And then he hit a code breaker on Sami Zayn. And then later on in the show, it was announced that Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn, Clash of Champions, solid addition to the card. I look forward to seeing this match. They've had good matches in the past. Don't see why they wouldn't have good matches in the future. So, like I said, this was definitely a highlight, no pun intended, from the highlight reel on this show. We then move on to the best of 7 series between Cesaro and Sheamus. This is match number 5 in the best of 7 series. Good solid stuff here from Sheamus and Cesaro. Always enjoy seeing Cesaro go out there. Never know what he's going to do next, using his agility, his power, his strength, his speed. And I'm happy to see that in this match number 5, that Cesaro was able to best Sheamus. There were a couple near falls in this match where I'm like, maybe Sheamus will win, and that would be a huge mistake. I feel like, Cesaro's in this hole. They have to build him up to come out of the hole and eventually come out on top. I'm assuming a Clash of Champions, where I think this will culminate. So, yeah, Cesaro was able to get the victory after Sheamus attempted to go for the Celtic Cross. Cesaro got out of that, and Cesaro hit the actually, he used his foot on the bottom rope, used a little bit of leverage there to one-up on Sheamus. So, yeah, Cesaro is now down 3-2 in this series. I believe they will have the next match on Raw, and then, like I said, the finals of this best of 7 series will culminate at Clash of Champions, which I am certainly fine with. So keep on going, Cesaro. I'll be rooting for you. We then had an interesting backstage segment. Seth Rollins was with Mick Foley, and he pretty much said that he had a bone to pick with Mick. He said that there was pretty much no comparison between him and Reigns, and Rollins is completely baffled as to why Roman Reigns is getting an opportunity potentially enter the main event of Clash of Champions if Reigns would beat Kevin Owens tonight. And he says pretty much that, where's Stephanie? And Mick says Stephanie's in Singapore. She's not here, but I consulted with her. I talked with her talked with her about this situation. Everything is all right. And Rollins doesn't believe it. He calls Mick Foley a puppet. And Mick Foley, that kind of causes him to snap a little bit. And he says, there's one thing, you can call me this, that, the other, You do not, I repeat, you do not question my integrity. So a little bit of tension that would, of course, play up later on in the night. We then had what was our fourth match on this show, Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox. As we all know, it was set up the previous week with Alicia Fox getting in Nia's face. I like the fact that we finally saw Nia Jax face somebody other than jobbers on a week-in, week-out basis, move her up the card, as I mentioned previously. And you know the spot that I'm going to talk about. That spear by Nia Jax. Before that, I love the way that she just ragdolled through Alicia Fox into the barricade, just threw her on like she was the lightest piece of shit. No offense, but Nia speared Alicia Fox through the barricade. It was sick. It was awesome. And really built Nia up, I felt. That spear, I mean, it was just effective. It worked. It built her up and continued to highlight the fact that she is this quote-unquote dominant monster. So I was happy to see what they did this week with Nia Jax. And like I said, that spear was really great to watch. I could watch it over and over again. So poor Alicia. So we'll see maybe if she can get her measure of revenge possibly next week or in a match at Clash of the Champions. See these two going again. We then had the New Day come out. Excuse me. And no, they didn't do a god-awful Old Day segment. The funny thing was they did talk about how bad that segment was. So they did realize how bad that segment was, which makes you wonder, why would they put that out there in the first place? Kind of left me scratching my head. But the New Day come out, you know, they're all happy, they're all clapping, you know, booty-os, eat them so you ain't booty. And they talk about how the fact that the club, that whole segment, it was awful, which I agree, it was awful. It was the worst segment of the year. And then eventually the club come down and they say that we're tired of this. We're going to take those tag team titles from you at Clash of Champions. I'm like, okay, at least the club here are being a bit more serious. They're cutting out the jokes. They need to cut out the comedy. They just need to be kick some ass. It's just like, is that asking too much? Less of the entertainment and more of just what brought them to the dance. A formidable, no-nonsense team that just wants to be on top of the Raw tag team division. And they had a match, and this was the thing that puzzled me on this show. We're only 2 weeks out from Clash Champions. It's going to be New Day versus Club for the tag titles. So what do they do on this show? They have the New Day versus the Club. It's like we're 2 weeks out, and you're going to have this match on TV. I thought maybe it would just break down into a brawl. That way we wouldn't have the match. It's like with Rusev versus Roman Reigns. The problem with these 3-hour shows is they have 3 hours to fill. So instead of saving this for the pay-per-view, I mean, it was a good match, but it's like, come on now, you don't want to overexpose this match to where we get to the point where I don't want to see these two fight anymore. And that's been a problem now with, in the last couple of years with the 3-hour Raw. So I have to make note of that. So yes, while it was nice to see the club get the win, get some much-needed momentum back after they hit the Magic Killer on Xavier Woods, it left me puzzled as to we're 2 weeks out. I don't want to see this match until the pay-per-view. Make me want the match and hold off on it for as long as possible. And if you can do that, you're good in my book. So after this, we had Jinder Mahal versus Jack Swagger. Do you care? No, I don't. Mahal won, moving on. Afterwards, Swagger's contract might be up. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. After that, we had Enzo versus Epico with Enzo lost. A little puzzling here. I'm not too worried, though. Yeah, Enzo and Cass have lost twice to the Shining Stars, now last week and now this week. So while I was disappointed that they lost to Enzo and Big Cass, they can't always win. And yeah, even though it's a team like the Shining Stars, in the long run that Enzo and Cass are the team of the future. They're definitely future tag team champions. So we'll see where they go with them heading forward. Like I said, I would love to see Enzo and Cass challenge New Day for the tag team titles, whether it's the club, I don't care. Triple threat between all three teams. I feel like that's the needed direction once they move on from whatever they're doing with the Shining Stars. So wasn't personally too big of a fan of seeing Enzo lose here, but it was what it was. So that was that, and then we move on to Before the main event, we had what I thought was a really good segment between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Rollins pretty much said that Triple H was a coward, and that's the only reason you're the Universal Champion. And then Owens said, well, he doesn't need luck, and pretty much said that Owens would have thought that you would want Rollins or Reigns in that match at Clash of Champions because, Reigns would pretty much do most of the work as he did when you were in the Shield. And he pretty much called out Rollins, saying that Ambrose, he always had help, whether it was Ambrose, the Authority, J&J Security, Kane, and pretty much that since you've come back, that you've let Raw down, you let Ambrose win the title, you let a one-arm Finn Balor beat you for the Universal title, and he said your new motto, Seth, should be rebuilt, redesigned, and replaced. And then Foley shows up, he's like, Kevin, you got to go to the ring. And he just does this over-the-top, like the laugh that Seth Rollins does. I love Kevin Owens. He's fucking awesome. And this was just a nice little promo segment before what I have to say was a tremendous main event match between Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. Definitely had me on my feet throughout, the match. The match eventually, Rollins would run down to the ring towards the end, and that would lead to the match being declared no contest. Therefore, Kevin Owens, it would have been a one-on-one match. Roman Reigns wouldn't have been added to it. Mick Foley comes down to the ring. He's furious. He's pissed because he warned Rollins earlier, you do not interfere in tonight's main event or there will be repercussions. So he says he's going to have a talk with Seth, and they go to the back. And before that, Mick Foley says match restarts. So we're going. I mean, the crowd was energized, the most that I've seen them on tonight's episode of Raw, and who can blame them? This was great stuff. I always enjoy seeing, like I said, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. They have tremendous chemistry. They put on great matches. And in the long run, I think I'd love to see a feud between these two. It's a long overdue feud, and a feud that I'd like to see eventually. So keep that one put away for a while. But yeah, we're going near fall, Superman punch, running cannonballs, frog splashes. It was just great stuff. And I'm thinking, how's this going to end? And I'm thinking, Rusev's got to show up, right? And sure enough, Rusev showed up. He was Superman punched by Roman Reigns, and that eventually allowed for the distraction, and Kevin Owens pinned Roman Reigns, therefore keeping the matchup at Clash of Champions one-on-one. And then afterwards, Rusev stormed into the ring. He's irate. He's furious at Roman Reigns, getting his level of revenge. He begins to punch Roman Reigns in the head over and over again, and then Lana's standing on the stage, points at Roman Reigns or Rusev, and Rusev locks him in with the accolade, and that's how we go off the air. Pretty kick-ass way to go off the air, like I said. So overall, if I had to give tonight's episode of Raw a grade, and before I get to that, it looks like we will be getting Roman Reigns versus Rusev for the United States Championship at Clash, so that's smart. And we have Rollins versus Owens one-on-one, so I'm happy to see that is the case. So yeah, overall, my thoughts on tonight's episode of Raw, there was some, stuff that I liked on the show. Then there was stuff that was kind of left me going, meh, okay, it was what it was. So that's why for tonight's grade, I'm going to give Raw a C+. I thought it was a C+ show. So yeah, C+ for tonight's episode of Raw. So that's it, guys, really, for my Raw review tonight, a live Raw review. Let me know down below in the comment section below what you guys thought of Raw. What didn't you like? What did you like? And, of course, I will get back to your comments in a timely manner. So thank you all for tuning into this live Raw review. Remember to please click my like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon to my channel. And that content continues this week. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for my live review for SmackDown at 10:05 p.m. Then, of course, the live content continues with my live review for the 2-hour finale of the Cruiserweight Classic on Wednesday. So I should have that up around 11:05-ish. And, yeah, whatever other videos I decide to upload, continue to keep the content coming to you, my subscribers. Thank you, guys, because without you, this channel wouldn't be where it's at. So just want to say thank you again. So that is it for my Raw review, guys. Have a great night and a great day tomorrow, and I will see you guys tomorrow night for my SD Live review. Take care, guys.